Good day to my Bachelor in Public Administration students. Previously we discussed the needs assessment for coming up with a program design or a program idea rather. Going back to our discussion for the needs and conditions and need assessment, basically when we say needs assessment, in this particular process, we identify the needs and conditions of the community. So basically, we go back to the root cause of the problem or issue, and these problems or issue will be the basis on what particular program are we going to formulate so that this program is expected to address these issues or problems. When we say needs and conditions and needs assessment, you go back to the community, you identify the problem, what are the current situation, what is the situationer, what is the particular existing resources that has been there, what is the lacking in the resources. So those are some things that we need to come up with. So because this data, this information will be very important with in coming up with the program design. Okay. So we have here the most common parts of the program design. Please take note that there are no specific or standardized parts of a government programs or let's say there are no specific parts of a program. There's no standard, but however, these following parts are considered as the most common and is true to most programs. Okay, number one is the title of the program, the authors, the rationale or introduction, of course, the BMGO or the vision, mission, goals, and objectives, the legal basis, target beneficiaries, and then the program details. So let us discuss first one by one. Number one is the title. One of the most important part of a program design is of course the title. Why? Because the title is what is being remembered in a program. So when the beneficiaries, when other people, when the clientele or stakeholders are looking for that particular program, of course, the number one thing that they would remember is of course the title. So it is usually comes first after a general resolution to a problem has been identified. So when you already identify the problem, basically the title comes after that. And most of the time, the problem itself is in the title of the program. Yung mismong problema na gusto mong ma-address, that the program that you want to address and the solution for that particular problem is usually manifested in the title itself. That is why it should be catchy. Why it should be catchy? When we say catchy, the very first time that the reader reads the particular title, then they will surely remember it after quite some time. Okay, so it should be catchy, it should be attractive, it should be easy to remember with. Okay, so there are a certain consideration in coming up with a title, of course, but before these considerations, you have to first again go back to the problem that you want to address with. Okay, so number one, the title should not be too long. The recommended number of words is not more than 10, including the words program, project, or policy. Okay, why do we need to make our title brief and concise so that it would be easy to remember. It should it should it should catch the overall or the general purpose of the program. So it should not be too long. Okay. It should be brief and concise again. The title should reflect the general idea of the program, especially its intended benefits and beneficiaries. Number three, some programs may use acronyms so that programs are better remembered. Okay, why are acronyms better? Because through acronyms, the title becomes catchy. It is easy to remember with because when the intended program has this very long title supposedly. Okay, you may use acronyms in lieu of those lengthy words so that it will be better remembered by the people. Okay, let's say for example, here are some of the most common and well-known government program in the Philippines. Number one is the Universal Healthcare Program. So, Balik Provincia Program and Patawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program. If we're going to go back to these three most common guide, we can attest that the title should not be too long, number one. So from these three examples, these are not too long. Actually, the first government program example is only composed of 4 words. And most importantly, the word program itself is even included in the title. Number 2, it should be brief and concise. The title should reflect the general idea. So when we say general idea, what supposedly is your program gonna be? To whom it is intended to benefit, and who are the particular beneficiaries. So in the Universal Healthcare Program, the general purpose is very easy. Of course, what is the general purpose? From the title itself, you can say that the general purpose is to make healthcare universal. So when we say universal, it is applicable to all Filipinos because this is in the Philippines. To all Filipinos. Okay? Balik Provincia Program, very easy to understand. It also used the language such as the Filipino language so that it could be better understood by the most common people. Okay? Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, very easy to understand. Okay? From the title itself, you will know that this is intended for Filipinos or Filipinos who are underprivileged, Filipinos who are not necessarily poor but has the capacity to of course have their family be progressive, however just lacking with financial support. And this Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program aims to give their beneficiaries the financial support so that they could make their children go to school, they could provide for their families, and etc. and etc. Again, it uses also the acronyms, which is the 4 P's, so that it will be better understand. If Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program is too lengthy to be remembered or to be stated into words, then 4 P's is enough. If you will hear the word 4 P's, it is already understandable that this is the particular program that you are referring to. Okay, so that is the importance of the title. Number 2 is the authors. This is very easy. You just have to include who are the implementors who formulated this idea. Okay, so these are what we call the authors. Normally, this author includes the lawmakers who in the Philippines who usually implements or formulates the idea before it becomes a program. Then normally that would be the lawmakers. Who are the lawmakers? They are either the senators or the elected congressperson, congressman, or the congresswoman. Okay. So the rationale or introduction. Rationale or introduction is basically just a narrative part of the paper. The first part of the paper wherein it narrates the rationale, or when we say rationale, the reason why we have to formulate or implement this program. It answers the question what, when, where, who, why, and how. So it gives an overview of the problem. What are the problems that this program want to address? What is the intended solution that this program will provide? So this is just an overview of the program that you are trying to implement or that we are trying to implement. Okay. So the vision and mission is very easy in developing the vision and mission. This is an optional one. Not all programs have vision and mission. However, this is very important because the vision and the mission sets the strategic direction for a program, especially if the program is for long term. Okay. So for writing by the way, what is a vision statement? So when we say a vision, this is what the program is trying to accomplish. Okay, it states, or this statement includes what your program is trying to accomplish in a certain period of time. Okay. These are the particular characteristics of a program vision. Number one, project into the future. Normally, in stating vision, some include the year wherein your program is supposedly being implemented for 10 years, or after 10 years, after 5 years, after 5 years, after 15 years. However, if your program is not time bound, it is not bound by time, meaning it would be implemented as long as it is needed, as long as it is necessary, then it is not necessary to put a time in the vision statement. Number two, describe what success looks like in your implementation. In Tagalog, when we say vision, it is pananaw. What is the vision of your program? So basically, when you already identified the problem and when you solve that problem, then what will be the situation of the community? Okay, ano na ang magiging community pag nawala na yung problema na yon? Okay? Describes a measurable goal. So when I say measurable goal, paano mo masasabi? How will you know that the problem can be solved? How do you measure it? What is it, through a quantitative analysis? Is it through a qualitative analysis? Okay, later on we will discuss that. Describe who will be the beneficiaries. Okay, here is an example. It is the true vision of the Women and Children Protection Program of the Department of Health, a gender fair and violence-free community where women and their children are empowered. So let's go back to the characteristics of writing a vision statement. Project the future. So since there is no specific time that we can achieve that the community will be a gender fair and violence-free community, it has not included a certain period of time, because if it's as easy as that, then we could say that a gender-free and violence-free community 10 years after. Okay, we can write that if we are sure that we can achieve that in 10 years from the implementation of this program. Okay? 2. Describe what success looks like in your implementation. How will we know that from the vision statement itself that the program would be successful? Okay? Since the Women and Children Protection Program, the root cause of this particular program is due to the discrimination and abuse against women and children, then if the community in the near future will be gender fair and violence free, then that would be the success indicator of the implementation of this particular program. If in the near future, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we can say that the community is gender fair and violence free, then that is what describes the number 2 characteristic. Success. Describe what success looks like in your implementation. That is why in the vision statement, you will look again at the possible future scenario. What if the problem has already been addressed, then what will be now the situation? If there will be no more abuse for women and children, then there will be a gender fair and violence free community. So describe who will be the beneficiaries. Of course, the women and children specifically stated. Okay, what is the measurable goal? Then children are empowered, women are empowered, gender fair, violence free. So this can be measured measured quantitatively and qualitatively. How do we measure this? Through a quantitative analysis. Of course, if the number of abuse in women and children drops, then we can say that the program is being successful. Okay? So this is only for additional information, relationship between mission and statement. Okay, so when we say mission, on the other hand, it presents both the issues and desires as a pair. Okay? It refers to directions for achieving a strategic mission required in a program. So if you have created your vision, then it is also necessary to include or formulate your mission. However, in most programs, if they have already included a vision, some does not put a mission. Okay, because it could be a little bit confusing for other people. Nakakalito siya. Because sometimes the creation of mission becomes similar with the creation of the mission. Okay, if you're going to look at this one from the same program, the mission of this Women and Children Protection Program: improve strategy towards a violence-free community through more systematic primary prevention, accessible and effective response system, and strengthen functional mechanism for coordination, planning, implementation, monitoring, evaluation, and reporting. So we can say that this particular statement is a more specified version of the vision. It is specific. Some parts of the plan, some strategies that will be implemented or will be employed in the program is stated in the mission statement. Okay? So in our subject program administration, you can either implement you either formulate your vision or your mission. It's okay to me because these are just optional parts of the program. However, it could be an additional grade for you because from the mission and vision itself, then the reader would be encouraged to read and critique your whole program, because this vision and mission, along with the introduction, gives the overview of what your program will be if implemented. Okay, same with goals and objectives. Goals and objectives are just particular specific steps that you're going to take in connection to your goals and objectives. Okay, so it's just specific. It is listed, nakalist siya, naka-enumerate siya. Okay, so ito ang mga dapat nating gawin pag formulate tayo ng objectives or desired outcomes. So dito sa objective, ano ba ang ating successful indicators gaya ng binanggit natin sa vision kanina. Okay, so ito yung ating goals tool. Okay, eto yon. Okay, example natin sa same program. Kung ang vision ay pinaka-general, pinaka-pananaw natin, the general situation of the program after it has successfully been implemented. The mission itself is a specific statement wherein it includes certain strategies on how you are going to implement your program. Dito naman sa program objectives, naka-enumerate naman ang inyong mga projects and activities na gagawin. Okay? So it is here stated that to institutionalize and standardize the quality of service and training of all women and children protection units, specifically the program aims to prevent violence against women and children from ever occurring, intervene early to identify and support women and children who are at risk of violence, and respond to violence by holding perpetrators accountable. Ensured connected services are available for women and their children. It is also basically the same with the statement, only that the mission statement is in a narrative form, it is in a declarative form, while in the goals and objective, it is more specific and it is enumerated through numbers. It could be also bulleted so that the ideas wouldn't jumble. Okay, it would be enumerated so that each idea are given emphasis. Okay, it is up to you as program formulator or program idea creator whether you would use the vision, the mission, the goals and objectives, or even the goals only or the objectives only. It is up to you. Between the four elements of program design, it's okay what to use, what to include in your program, because these are just optional parts of the program design. However, these are still necessary elements so that the stakeholders or clienteles that will critique your program can easily understand what your program is all about by reading these VMGOs. Okay. Legal basis, the number 7. These are just some of the references or sources of program components. So where did you base your program? Okay, the legitimacy and validity of your program, it could be from the Philippine Constitution. You may cite the article, you may cite the specific section. It could be from a general law, such as the Revised Penal Code, the Civil Code, the Criminal Code, and etc. and etc. Okay? It could also be based on local policies or local ordinances, such as from the local government ordinances. It could be from memorandum circulars of government agencies, such as the CSC Memorandum Circular, CHED Memorandum Circular. So you have to include. Why is there a need to include legal basis? Because programs are also policies. And if the policy of your program is in conflict with the other one, then it would have problems in the implementation. So make sure that your programs doesn't have an existing policy that would contradict or would be in conflict with the provisions of your programs or policies. Okay. Number 8, target population and beneficiaries. Very easy to understand. Who will be your target population and why? Okay, who will be receiving the services? You have to specify that. Is it the children? Is it the women? Is it the drug addicts? Is it the children? Is it the teachers? Is it the out of school youth? Is it the OFW? So you may specify that. Whom are we hoping our program will change? How many would you like to include? Oh, if you have certain data, how will you recruit them into your program? How will you keep them in your program? Okay, these are particular questions that you have to answer. Kailangan masagot ito so that you can formulate your number 8 program part, which is the target population and beneficiaries. Okay, so these are some of the information. Just read your module. The number 9 and the last one is the program details. Program details is basically the body of your program. The body, it includes all the provisions, the sections, the policies, the penalties, the terms and conditions of your program. So there are no specific format on how you're going to create your program details and components. Okay. Example here is an area of coverage. So basically, to what particular area in the Philippines you are going to implement this program. If it's for a certain local government units, then in what municipality, in what barangay. Okay, so very easy. What is the place of the implementation of your program? Next is the partner institutions and implementing agency. If it's about health, if your program is about health, then who will be the main implementing agency? Of course, Department of Health. If it's in the local government, then that would be the municipal health office, and etc. Who will be the partner institution? Of course, it is necessary that your program has partner institutions because not all part of the program can be done or can be conducted by the main implementing agency. Will you be partnered with the local government units? Will you partner with the non-government organizations? Will you partner with the community? Okay. Will you partner with other government agencies such as the Department of Public Works and Highways, such as the CSC, such as the DSWD? Then you have to include them in this particular part of the program and describe what are their duties and responsibilities. Strategies and action points. So how will you implement the program? What are the program components? Okay, so in this particular strategies and action point, it enumerates the strategies, the solutions that you will have so that you can address the problem. Ito ang pinaka-important. This is the most important because this will be the part of the program wherein your actions, your strategies, your solutions will be enumerated and specified. How are you going to solve the problem? So it will be included here in strategies and action points. Penalties and fines, if there are violators of the laws, how are you going to sanction them? Okay, this is also an optional because you are not yet familiar with the penalties and fines as specified by the revised penal code. okay, or the criminal law and civil law. Budgetary requirements, of course, all programs, all policies requires budget. It will not be implemented if you don't have funding, if you don't have budget. This is for the meantime. This is also optional for you because you are not yet sure, you are not yet trained on how to create for budgetary requirements unless you have the experience or you have the idea on how to create budgets. Okay, monitoring and evaluation, this is very important. This is required for you. I want to make sure that you create your monitoring and evaluation as scholarly as possible. Okay, in a program, one of the most important part is the monitoring and evaluation. Big why? How will you determine if your program is successful or not? Through the evaluation. How will you make sure that your program can be sustained? Through monitoring. Okay? So in this particular part, this pertains to how a program will be monitored and evaluated and what agency will do it. Normally for financial matters, the Commission on Audit is responsible. For human resources activities, the civil service oversees all. Okay? However, in the internal organization, in your own organization, aside from the manager or the administrator or the program administrator, how will your program be monitored? Okay, so who will monitor the program implementation? Let's say for example, the program is about the uh, the re-education of out of school youth. Okay, ang mga bata na hindi nakapag-aral, you're going to provide them activities so that they will avoid doing illegal activities. Papag-aralin mo sila, bibigyan mo sila ng mga sports activities para hindi sila o malayo sila sa mga masasamang gawain. How will you monitor the program and who will monitor the program? Okay? In monitoring the program, this may include weekly monitoring. Basically, yung mga beneficiaries or yung mga out-of-school youth, weekly nyo silang i-interviewin, weekly nyo silang obserbahan kung may nagbago ba sa kanilang mga activities, kung nag-improve ba ang kanilang learning, ang kanilang other holistic skills. Okay? It could be monthly, it could be daily, if necessary. You are going to provide justification. How are you going to monitor the program so that in the end, it will be successful. And at the end of the day, dapat ma-reach ninyo at ma-address ninyo ang solution. Ito mga out-of-school youth na ito, patuloy na gumagawa ng kabutihan, nakapag-aral sila ay nakakatulong sa community, and this will only be possible if you can monitor your program beneficiaries, not only the program beneficiaries, but also, this is very important, but also the program implementers. Okay? So, how about the evaluation? How are you going to evaluate the program? You can only evaluate the program through analytical tools. Later on, we will discuss that in the later part of the programs. Meron tayong evaluation strategies. Okay? So, you may include in your evaluation strategy the quantity of the beneficiaries of the program. Dumami ba ang inyong sa tingin mo, kung masasabi kung dumami ba ang beneficiary ng program mo, masasabi mo na through this particular evaluation, successful ang implementation ng inyong program? Or it could also be that at the end of the day, na-sustain mo yung dami ng beneficiaries ng program mo, hindi na bawasan. Okay, pwede mo bang masabi na successful ang implementation ng program? Nagamit mo ba lahat ng budget? Walang nasayang sa budget? Masasabi mo ba na ito ay successful implementation ng inyong program? And etc. Okay? So these are just some example of monitoring and evaluation components of your program implementation or program formulation. Okay? So for the activity, you just have to include the all parts of the program. So this is very important. This is just an introductory part of the program administration. It's okay if you are not yet sure on what to put in the vision, mission, goals, and objectives, especially in the program details. This will only serve as like a pre-test on how are you going on, or how are you familiar with creating a program, what is your existing background, what is your existing knowledge in creating a program, so that at the end of the course, at the end of the subject, titingnan natin kung may ma-improve, titingnan natin kung may mabago doon sa alam ninyo, because we will still be creating the same programs and we will evaluating other programs. Okay, so this is just an introductory part, but make sure that you could create a very good program out of the issue or problem that you have chosen. Okay, you may search for existing programs from this module. At the end of the module, may mga program dito. Pwede na kayo mag-search sa internet para makakuha kayo ng mga idea. Okay? Thank you so much for listening.